COVID-19 hospitalizations and infections in the United States have soared to pandemic highs as Omicron rips through the country. Close to 133,000 patients are in hospital, and there are 1.35 million new infections, and that's shattering global records. Live now to Simon Marks in Washington, D.C. for more on this. How are healthcare systems across the country coping with this surge, Simon?
Well, they're finding it increasingly difficult, Dawn. More than a quarter of American hospital systems say that they are suffering from critical staffing shortages. And, of course, there is enormous pressure on intensive care unit beds in the hardest hit areas of America. The number of fatalities now also climbing. Yesterday, the New York Times reporting that 1,653 people died of COVID-19 in the United States. And that number is a 36% increase on the numbers that we've witnessed here over the course of the last 14 days. So this is absolutely causing difficulty for hospital systems that are cancelling elective surgeries, implementing emergency measures. In parts of New York last week, they were in many regions finding it very difficult to find emergency intensive care unit bed space. Hospitals were left ringing around to neighbouring hospitals in other parts of the state, looking to see whether they could find bed space there. And that picture is being repeated in other parts of the country as well. A real sense now that the United States is paying the price for Christmas and New Year holiday plans that saw millions of Americans travelling all over the country, then travelling home and bringing COVID-19 back with them. Remember, the Biden administration told Americans that if they were vaccinated, there was no reason at all to curtail their holiday plans. That message may have also been received by the unvaccinated as clearance that they could continue to travel, given that there's no need to provide proof of vaccination before you board an aeroplane here in the United States.
Yeah, Simon, the impact of the holiday period aside, this infection wave is also just increasingly disrupting normal life, isn't it?
Yeah, it's across the board in cities all over the country. Out in San Diego, in California, people have been warned that various fire department stations are having to reduce their service because there are so many staff out with COVID-19. We've seen similar reports from New York. The police department in New York at one point last week was saying that it was suffering a 20% staffing loss due to the spread of COVID-19. There is a huge debate underway here about schools. For another day today, the schools in the city of Chicago are closed completely. A standoff there between the teaching unions, who say it's not safe for staff to return to schools, and the mayor, a prominent supporter of Joe Biden, who insists the schools must remain open for in-person education. Here in Washington, D.C., yesterday, the public transport system announced that buses in the city will be running on a Saturday schedule only because they haven't got enough drivers to keep all the routes running. And we haven't had a single postal delivery since the start of the year because the US Post Office is suffering such deep staffing losses that they can't even keep the mail moving. And this is happening in a country where, as recently as last Saturday, the White House again claimed that the United States has the tools to defeat Omicron and there is no need for businesses or schools to be shutting down. But in reality, restrictions, reductions in service and shutdowns are now happening all over the country.
Simon, thank you for that update. Simon Marks in Washington, D.C.